Chapter 1. The Invitation. It all began with an invitation. A simple, elegant piece of cardstock that arrived in my mailbox one dreary November morning. The envelope was cream-colored, with my name and address written in a delicate, cursive hand. Inside, the invitation itself was equally refined, adorned with gold filigree and embossed lettering. "You are cordially invited to a weekend retreat at Blackwood Manor," it read. "Please join us for an evening of mystery and intrigue. RSVP by November 15th. I turned the card over in my hands, a sense of curiosity mingling with apprehension. I had heard of Blackwood Manor, of course. Who in our small town hadn't? Perched on a hill just outside of town, the manor was an imposing, Gothic structure that had stood empty for years. Its history was shrouded in rumors and whispers, tales of tragedy and ghostly apparitions. But who had invited me? There was no signature, no indication of the host. My curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to RSVP. A weekend retreat sounded like the perfect escape from my mundane routine. Chapter 2. Arrival at Blackwood Manor. The following Friday, I packed a small suitcase and set off for Blackwood Manor. The drive was short, but as I approached the mansion, a sense of foreboding settled over me. The manor loomed against the grey sky, its stone facade weathered and covered in ivy. The wrought iron gates creaked open as I approached, and I drove up the long, winding driveway. A man in a dark suit greeted me at the door. "Welcome to Blackwood Manor," he said, his voice smooth and practiced. "My name is Mr. Whitaker, the butler. Please, come in." I stepped into the grand foyer, my footsteps echoing on the marble floor. The interior was as grand as the exterior, with high ceilings, crystal chandeliers, and antique furniture. Other guests were already milling about, their expressions a mix of curiosity and trepidation. Chapter 3. The Guests. As the evening wore on, I had the opportunity to meet my fellow guests. There was Evelyn, a glamorous socialite with a penchant for drama. Robert, a stern businessman with a calculating gaze. Lilla, a young artist with a mysterious air. And Dr. Caldwell, an elderly physician with a gentle demeanor. Each of us had received the same enigmatic invitation, and like me, none of them knew who the host was. Dinner was served in the grand dining room, a sumptuous feast laid out on a long, mahogany table. As we ate, Mr. Whitaker informed us that our host would reveal themselves later in the evening. Chapter 4. The First Clue. After dinner, we retired to the drawing room, a cozy space with a roaring fireplace and plush armchairs. Mr. Whitaker handed each of us an envelope, identical to the one that had brought us here. "Inside, you will find your first clue," he said, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. "Solve the mystery, and you will discover the identity of our host." I opened my envelope to find a single, cryptic sentence. "The answer lies in the heart of darkness." Puzzled, I looked around the room. The other guests were equally baffled, each of us trying to make sense of our clues. We decided to work together, hoping to uncover the mystery more quickly. Chapter 5. The First Night. As the night wore on, we explored the manor, searching for answers. The house was a maze of rooms and corridors, each one more mysterious than the last. In the library, we found old books and dusty tomes, their pages filled with strange symbols and cryptic messages. In the attic, we discovered a trunk filled with old photographs and letters, hinting at the manor's dark past. But it wasn't until we reached the basement that we found our first real clue. The room was cold and damp, the walls lined with shelves of old wine bottles. In the center of the room, a large, ornate chest stood, its lid slightly ajar. Inside, we found a journal, its pages filled with the ramblings of a madman. The entries spoke of dark rituals and secret societies, of hidden rooms and forbidden knowledge. And at the end of the journal, a final, chilling entry: "The heart of darkness lies within." Chapter 6. The First Death. We spent the rest of the night trying to decipher the journal, but exhaustion eventually overcame us. We agreed to resume our search in the morning and retired to our rooms. I awoke to the sound of a scream. I rushed out of my room and found the others gathered in the hallway, their faces pale with fear. Evelyn was standing over a body, her hands trembling. It was Robert. He lay on the floor, his eyes wide open in a final, horrified stare. There was no sign of a struggle, no obvious cause of death, just a look of sheer terror frozen on his face. Chapter 7. The investigation begins. Panic set in. We were trapped in the manor, with no way to contact the outside world. Mr. Whitaker tried to calm us, but his attempts were futile. We were all on edge, each of us suspecting the other, determined to find out what had happened. I took it upon myself to investigate. I started by examining Robert's room. It was immaculate, with no sign of a struggle. His suitcase was neatly packed, and his personal items were undisturbed. But as I searched the room, I found a small, folded piece of paper tucked inside his jacket pocket. It was another clue. Beware the shadows that lurk in the night. Chapter 8. The second clue. I shared my findings with the others, hoping it would shed some light on the situation. Lila suggested we retrace Robert's steps from the previous night. We revisited the basement, the library, and the attic, but found nothing new. It wasn't until we returned to the drawing room that we made our next discovery. Hidden behind a painting, we found a small, hidden door. Inside was a narrow staircase, leading down into the darkness. With trepidation, we descended the stairs. The air grew colder, and the walls closed in around us. At the bottom, we found a small, dimly lit chamber. In the center of the room, a pedestal held an old, leather-bound book. The book was filled with more of the madman's writings, detailing a secret society that had once met in the manor. The society's leader, a man known only as the Master, had performed dark rituals, seeking to harness the power of the occult. Chapter 9. The Second Death. As we read the book, a chilling realization dawned on us. The society's rituals involved human sacrifice, and Robert's death fit the pattern. But who among us could be the Master? Our questions were cut short by another scream. We rushed back upstairs to find Lila standing over another body. This time, it was Evelyn. Like Robert, she showed no signs of struggle, just that same look of terror. Chapter 10. The Accusations. Fear and paranoia gripped us. We were trapped in the manor with a killer, and any one of us could be next. Accusations flew, each of us suspecting the other. Mr. Whitaker tried to maintain order, but it was clear that trust had been shattered. Desperate for answers, I returned to the hidden chamber. I studied the book, looking for any clues that might help us identify the Master. Among the pages, I found a drawing of a symbol, a twisted, serpentine shape. Chapter 11. The Revelation. I showed the symbol to the others, hoping it might jog someone's memory. Dr. Caldwell's eyes widened in recognition. He explained that the symbol was associated with an ancient cult, one that believed in the power of the human soul. We realized that the invitations had been a trap, designed to lure us to the manor for a sinister purpose. But who had orchestrated it, and why? Chapter 12. The Final Confrontation. As the night wore on, tension reached a breaking point. We decided to stay together, hoping to avoid another death. But as we gathered in the drawing room, the lights suddenly went out. In the darkness, we heard a low, menacing laugh. A figure stepped forward, a hooded cloak obscuring their face. The figure removed the hood, revealing Mr. Whitaker. "You've all been pawns in my game," he said, his voice filled with malice. "I am the Master, and tonight, the ritual will be completed." Chapter 13. The Escape. Panic erupted. We fought back, struggling to overpower Mr. Whitaker. In the chaos, I managed to grab the book from the hidden chamber. I remembered reading that destroying the book would break the cult's power. With all my strength, I hurled the book into the fireplace. The flames consumed it, and Mr. Whitaker let out a blood-curdling scream. His body convulsed, then crumpled to the floor, lifeless. Chapter 14. The Aftermath. With Mr. Whitaker's death, the manor seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, and we were able to contact the authorities. The police arrived, and we recounted our harrowing ordeal. In the days that followed, the true extent of Mr. Whitaker's madness was the ritual and gain untold power, using us as his unwitting sacrifices. Chapter 15. Healing and moving forward. As the investigation continued, the remaining guests and I tried to piece our lives back together. We formed an unlikely bond, united by the trauma we had shared. The police helped us find closure, but the experience left scars that would take time to heal. Dr. Caldwell returned to his practice, dedicating himself to helping others deal with trauma. Lila channeled her emotions into her art, creating hauntingly beautiful pieces that spoke of our ordeal. I returned to my quiet life but found solace in writing, chronicling our experience in the hopes of finding some sense of peace. Chapter 16. The Last Goodbye. Months later, we gathered one final time at Blackwood Manor. The estate had been sold to new owners, who planned to renovate it and erase the dark legacy that lingered within its walls. As we stood together, looking at the once imposing structure, we felt a sense of closure. We survived, Lila said, her voice filled with determination. And we won't let what happened define us. We nodded in agreement, silently saying our goodbyes to the memories that had haunted us. As we walked away from Blackwood Manor, we knew that we had faced the darkness and emerged stronger. The invitation that had brought us together had also changed us forever, reminding us of the resilience of the human spirit and the power of unity in the face of unspeakable evil. And so, the story of Blackwood Manor came to an end, its dark secrets finally laid to rest. But for those who
share your thoughts below, don't forget to like and subscribe, and you can check out more videos like these right now.